Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Azkai here, bringing you another video for Conqueror's Blade, published by Porus Interactive. I am bringing you a PTR update. I know I didn't do the last update for Conqueror's Blade. The only interesting, well, there are probably several interesting things, but the major thing I want to relay here is the changes to Pike. They have changed the cooldown of the third stage abilities from 3 seconds to 1 second. This allows Pike to use the same abilities multiple times, so you can get off like 3 water dragons, or 3 sky dragons, or 3 wandering dragons, and um, in a row, that is, with 1 cycle. So um, if you're wondering why you're getting hit with a five ability guaranteed combo, yeah, that's what happened. Anyway, this is going to be the PTR update for the upcoming season, so we'll probably see this open up by the Thursday. It'll be the weekend. Just wondering. Um, it will definitely be a weekend PTR by the looks of it. Otherwise, they would have announced. They would have probably announced this on the Friday if they were going to let us in on Monday. So we have armor runes, weapon runes, the 3-star Doppelsoldners. Good name, though. I would have liked the Lancenet. I am still livid that they changed. For those of you that were on the APAC side before, um, and those of you that were on the MyG side, um, again, Lancenets, they they should be called out how it is, on the principle that they do not deserve the name Lancenets. The Doppelsoldners here look more like Lancenets than the Lancenets we have in game, but Doppelsoldners is also a really good name because they Doppelsoldners refer to the soldiers that would commonly break into the enemy's ranks, and these people the um, would use the great swords or arquebuses or buckler and shield. There was apparently like the weapons they use were could be a multitude of things, but traditionally um, Doppelsonders refer to double paid soldiers who would charge into the enemy's rank and try to break the enemy's formation. So it's still a really good name here. Um, and the 4-star Zealot, though, again, the name alone is the name. It's a generic name that can have very many implications. In this case, uh, I'm pretty sure they're leaning into the religious aspect, and because of the Holy Roman Empire kind of vibe they're going with. Yeah. Anyway, um, oh yeah, they have it right here. So it will open on the Thursday. There's a free test on the 17th with 5-star units is available. Interesting. So there's going to be um, the free test where. Okay, so that's interesting. I think when they refer to the 5-star, I don't think they mean the 5-star. I don't think they mean the 5-star seasonal unit will be available. I think they might be referring to Chariot because yeah, there's been some Chariot updates in this patch. Anyway, let's go straight into the news. So we have the armor rooms, Crimson Gaze. This is the fire on death runes, keeping the 20% reduced damage from units, but we're changing the burning damage equal to 3%, going down to 1.5% of maximum health per second. Um, and that is the only change. So they're halving the burning damage from that rune. For the armor, they got two new runes. Not sure which one they're replacing. I assume the Lancer Cav or the Javelin one, probably the current 2 unit ones anyway. Or they could just be added on, which would be interesting. Heal steal effects from polearm units convert 30% of their healing amount into damage dealt to the target. This effect applies to units only. Interesting that they specified polearm units. It would have better made more sense if it was just heal steal effects and it just implied from units and didn't specify polearm. Because there's only really 2 units that I can think of that naturally has lifesteal, which is the Onimusha and the Orochi Samurai. Without a 30%, it would only be about a 12.5% damage increase. And if this works like how I think it is, it converts. It doesn't convert, or um, uh, it how to say the amount they heal, a part of it, a portion of it, is then dealt as damage to the target. So they'll still heal for the full amount, and then 30% of the heal amount is then dealt as damage to the target, or something like that. It's how I assume it works. I'm pretty sure that's how the Nodachi one that had something similar also worked. It's a wonder that they made this one, but I think it's also has to do with the fact that they just introduced a doctrine which gave polearm units lifesteal or heal steal, how they put here. Again, the English and the terminology here is not very consistent, and I'm really worried that their localization team is just not putting in a lot of effort, considering that like they probably only has to produce these things every so often. We have Buckler Smash. Buckler units deal 20% more damage. This would be cool, considering that I'm thinking of 3 units that this would be really good on, and that's the Seregs, the Condottieri, and the Paladins. Those 3 units are definitely users that use a lot of blunt damage. Seregs the most. I'm really wondering whether or not 20% more damage is going to make those guys strong enough. I know a portion of their damage is piercing, but I'm not sure how that comes in. Maybe a percentage base kind of thing. But regardless, 20% more damage. Big increase, though. We're talking about Conqueror's Blade here. It'll probably be a threshold kind of thing. Enduring Lancer. Lance Cavalry enter control immune state while charging. The control immune state is removed after taking 1 hit or after 10 seconds. Consume 3 rune power. Harvest power, javelin, archer, firearm, and crossbow units recover 2 ammo with each unit kill. Oh, talk about making range not have ammo issues. A lot of ranged units don't really have very many ammo issues. Crossbow units, kind of like the amount of damage ranged units deal is already enough to kill 4 or 5 units before they run out of ammo. The fact that when they run out of ammo, they have no recourse, they literally can't do anything. I think is a problem with the design. At this point, you should just make all the ranged units have infinite ammo, and they and just be done with it. Javelins in particular, like having being restricted on ammo makes them more of a burden than anything because once they're out of ammo, they can't even fight in melee. So it's like they're worse than ranged units because they're more limited by ammo than even the other range units are. The difficult thing here, uh, the difficult thing here is I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it will count hero kills or whether or not it will count kills, any kills. So I mean, like, you can get some javelin units that can kill without using ammo. So like you got I mean, Rodetiaris, and they have melee skills. The Imperial Javelineers also have their shield throw, so that could be quite strong. Oh man, I kind of just glossed over this, but I did want to make a mention. Um, a one-hit protection for control immunity. My goodness, that can be very powerful. Courtiers particularly have a very low cooldown. That can be absolutely savage. Um, wow, that again, this could go hard, really hard. Lance cavalry charges are still one of the most devastating unit abilities in the game. They're just really easy to stop because they're not control immune. The cavalry themselves can get really tanky because of the 50% damage reduction, but if they're also control immune, I think that's going to cause problems. Though, if you have a way to hit them multiple times, I guess it won't be too much of an issue, but I don't know. Control, I definitely found the blue shield of the Sunway Phalanx, or the Sunwood's Phalanx. It's a Sunwood Phalanx, sorry. I don't know why keep calling it Sunway. Much more annoying once I started to had to play around it. Though it's not as strong anymore because we got more ways to just delete it. But still, um, I'm a bit worried. Moving on to the weapon runes. We have the Poleaxe, Executioner's Axe. Each unit hit by weapon dance reduces ultimate skill cooldown by 1.5 seconds. Very strong rune. Could possibly, well, no. Most definitely going to let you able to use Launch Strike twice or something. You will Launch Strike, Weapon Dance, Launch Strike kind of deal. Oh, that's going to be terrifying. Um, or, even worse yet, you just open with a Rough Justice followed by a Weapon Dance into another Rough Justice to the same person because it's just going to be in the middle of units or something. Oh, Glaives, Dragon Sweep, Glaives, dash attack. Stamina cost is reduced by 30% and damage is increased by 30%. Strongest dash attack, lower cost, higher damage. Glaive's gonna see some good love. I mean, it's got some good abilities, but its dash attack's one of the best. Its dash attack is the best in the game. No doubts about that. Maul, Guardian Strength. All skills for Maul consume 30% less stamina. I wonder what that one's replacing. Um, don't particularly see Maul going out of control with this. I don't think it's that useful. Short Sword and Shield. Very interesting. Ironclad Bastion. When using Ironside, your unit's defense is increased by 30%. I think this is really interesting. There are definitely some units with high defenses that, if you increase it by 30%, they can get really difficult to kill. Wondering whether or not. Um, Wondering whether or not that could cause a lot of issues for Spartans in particular. Units that heal, um, units that heal causes more issues due to how defenses are multiplicative to the healing amount. So I can definitely see Sword and Shield with Spartans becoming an issue, basically making an invincible push again. It's it's not as guaranteed, but right now, but Spartans are still very can very easily be OP. They're not impossible to deal with, which is the surprising thing. They're just very difficult. Sphere, Deadly Serpent, each stack of hard hitting. I believe they mean Luge March. They're referring it to as Luge March, but hard hitting, I don't know. Grants an additional 2% damage of all types. So, along with the 2% armor penetration and 2% incoming damage or something, you get a 2% damage increase. So, I'm not sure how to feel about that. I think Spear needs more direct buffs to its abilities. This rune doesn't seem to be doing enough. And then we have Pike with two new runes. We have the Dragon's Path with Green Dragon, provides 1 second of charge. Provides 1 second charge damage and knock up. I believe they mean throw effect immediately without the need to charge. So it's similar to the Heroic Strike one, but this one doesn't have a second part. Nodachi's Heroic Strike is definitely way overtuned, but I don't think Nodachi is viable without it, which is very interesting. Um, so it's the same, Green Dragon being able to just shoot off straight away. I'm not sure how to feel about that. Pike has been seeing a lot of buffs. That particular one also feels like they want Pike to be good. Um, but realistically, Pike just needs a little bit extra stats, and that's about it. It's a very strong weapon, in my opinion, because of its spam nature, but it can't exactly. It's not allowed to exactly one combo you, because if they can one combo you, they can chain combo you, and that's a problem. Um, Dragon's Pursuit. Every third use of Wandering Dragons, Water Dragon, or Sky Dragon reduces ultimate cooldown by 2 seconds. Now I have two things, or just one thing, but expanded as two things, that I'm worried about is that it's fine if it means that every third time you use ability, it reduces your cooldown by 2 seconds. What I'm worried about is if it actually means when you use the third stage of any of these abilities, it reduces the cooldown by 2 seconds. Now, naturally, you can throw out three level 3 skills in the 4 seconds, but you can get off a fourth one. I'm not sure if anyone actually pulls off a fifth one without some shenanigans with animation cancel. But I feel like these two, like Dragon's Path being Consume 3 and then Dragon's Pursuit being 2, definitely allows you to use both of them at the same time. I'm wondering whether or not they did this deliberately so that you can just get off more ultimates this way. So I'm kind of worried about that, barring any other like reduction effects. Oh, I think that might have been other runes as well. Still, if it is every time you use this third stage, getting 6 seconds off can be huge considering Pike. Green Dragon is only 30 seconds, I believe. I think Cold Dragon 28 seconds. Considering the combo as well, like that's already 6 seconds off. Means that you could only have to do another combo, and voila, your Pike is already ready to go. It's already very fast. Um, oh, but this is way worse because of the upfront power. Musket, Storm Thunder. After using Black Powder Grenade, you can use it again within 10 seconds. This effect can trigger once per cooldown cycle, and the cooldown is increased by 15 seconds. Now, two Black Powder Grenades is frankly OP. Just straight up OP. There needs to be a penalty for using it a second time, like 50% less damage, 50% less radius or something. 15-second cooldown? Absolutely not. Like, this would be OP even if the increased cooldown was just double cooldown. It's a 40-second cooldown ultimate, and if you increase the cooldown by another 40 seconds, so it's 80 seconds, a double throw would still let you almost one-shot a unit. Like, Black Powder Grenade, I'm not sure about you, but Black Powder Grenade hitting units can be super devastating depending on time, and it's super safe because of the range ability. Being able to throw two of them, oh, I don't know how to deal with that. Like, just thinking about the implications. Um, the 15-second cooldown doesn't feel like it's enough to kind of like justify the power of a second black powder grenade. Um, we also have bow. Each swift return. Each time lightning bolt hits an enemy unit is cooldown reduced by 3 seconds. Um, this one I don't have too much of an issue with. Lightning bolt is not terrifying. It's not very strong in and of itself. I think the only problem is that in some ideal situations where you can hit like 15 units, you would instantly reset it. Um, my other worry, or my other wonder, is if hitting a unit that blocks the attack, would you still get a 3 second reduction? Because if that happens, you can lightning bolt into a shield formation and it will shatter the shields. Or like that it has high block break on it. And you can lightning bolt again. Like that could be a thing. That could be an issue. I feel like that could be an issue. But if blocking the attack doesn't give you the reduction, then that not so much, not so much. Dual Blade Shadow Leap while using Infiltrator to enter Sneak. Sprint and Jump becomes available. Wow, that is really strong. I know that they had this as a rune before, but they removed it because it was too powerful on the stealth in general. But now they made it only work with Infiltrator stealth, which is good? Question mark. I'm not sure how to say. Um, I know that like the Dual Blades Infiltrator gameplay is basically dead. No one uses Infiltrator anymore. It's literally just throws butterfly. It's just bow, shurikens, butterfly, and alchemic vapors. Butterfly again is one of the most OP abilities in the game. Well, not OP. It's overloaded because you can hit a target 5 times with butterfly, and that's a lot of damage. So butterfly does so much damage. Um, it's not the strongest ability in the game, but it's definitely one. It's definitely one of the things that puts it above both the Skylark and what was the other one? Oh, I feel like there was something else besides butterfly and Skylark. But you also have um oh the concussion grenade. I forgot what it was called. But yeah, wondering they're trying to make the infiltrator ability kind of come back. But unless you strengthen its stealth abilities, I don't think infiltrator is going to come back really. And even then, there's no real benefit to having infiltrator compared to just stealthing with bow shuriken or the thunderbolt grenade. God damn it, man. The concussion grenade. I forgot what it was called. We also have the shield and spear, deadly throw, Hercules throw, and Hercules mounted throw. Deal 10% more damage on headshots. I don't think that's any good. It'll probably replace the 2 second cooldown one. You could probably increase this to 50%, and I think that would be good enough for a 3 power rune, considering how good some of these other ones are. But 10% more damage is still good damage. And I know, and I've seen some shield and spears that are really good at just getting headshots because they aim for it. And I don't doubt that like people will get used to it. Getting hit by spear throws that deal 4, 5, 6,000 damage to you can be a real headache. Apparently, there is a new battlefield score system. Not sure how this is going to work out, but apparently the new score system has been added. Players will now receive real-time score rewards based on various actions performed during each match. On the in-battle tab panel, players will be ranked according to their total score. The higher the total score, the higher the ranking. Interesting. And another balance adjustment for the bow. The bow weapon trait armor piercing increased by 36% when hitting units. Armor piercing reduced by 36% when hitting non-units has been removed. This has me concerned. Maybe it's just PTSD. I don't particularly like bow being really strong, and particularly being really strong at sniping heroes. This is one of the problems that I think they need to fix. There needs to be some limitation on how the longbow class is allowed to deal damage. It's particularly over range. Or they need to have a better attenuation so that longbow doesn't deal too much damage over range. Right now, for their basic attack, I think it's 86%, meaning that they only lose 14% of their damage over 100 meters or something. But beyond that, um, I think longbow just needs to have a general damage attenuation according to range, and then kind of play around with how much damage it should be dealing at close range and stuff. How much would they lose? Simply put, at 50 meters, I think they should drop their damage down to 75%. Maybe also add in a double multiplier, so you have the damage and the penetration going down over range. And then at over 100 meters, you lose 50% of your damage and 50% of your penetration. This way, high armor, really good when you're far away. But I've seen some bows with 2200, like baseline, kind of like 2200. I've seen some that gone up to 2700 penetration. I believe you can go higher. I know the damage can go higher. I think the highest damage I've seen is 2900. Didn't break the 3000 mark, but I've seen 2900, and that's a lot of damage considering that headshots also double damage. So these are like 5,000 headshot hits. Whew. So, yeah, I am concerned in the current meta, though. There's a lot of uh, shields and spears, and they're throwing their spears a lot. We'll see whether or not Longbow can come back in when they can snipe out heroes again. So, just wondering whether or not Longbow can put pressure on heavy armored units now that they lost the 36% as well. There's also that. All right, Empire Chariot balanced adjustment. So they have the health and damage, speed and control, and accumulated damage. So the current damage, health and damage. So when the health is between 80 to 100%, damage dealt is increased by 15%. Health is between 60 to 80%, damage dealt remains unchanged. When health is between 30 and 60%, damage dealt is reduced by 30%. When health is between 0 and 30%, damage dealt is reduced by 70%. Alright. Damage has not really been an issue. It's low enough where a lot of units don't just get one tap. The caveat is when the chariot can hit them multiple times. There are issues when the chariot can just chain hit you. And that happens because you don't get thrown or knocked down. When you get thrown or knocked down, you're protected from collision damage because they can't hit you again. I don't know what kind of logic there is there, but that it exists. Um, but in scenarios where you're facing off against CC immune units or cavalry in this particular case, um, they can get hit multiple times and that would instantly one-shot them. Instantly one-shot them. This is kind of the same with heroes. Heroes don't get knocked. They don't get knocked down and they don't get thrown. They get knocked back. Heroes can get knocked back repeatedly and can get hit repeatedly, which causes a lot of issues because if you try to roll out of your knockback animation, you will get hit multiple times much faster. And ah, well, you'll get hit multiple times regardless, but your displacement will be a bit wonky, so you'll get hit faster that way. So I'm not sure how I want to feel about the damage thing. The damage is not really much of an issue, so that is a kind of like a whatever burger. The extra 15% when above 80% is kind of what are you doing? Kind of feeling. And again, like when you reach below 50%, it's just like just go heal, mate. I don't know how I want to feel about the damage, health and damage thing. I don't think it's important at all. Now we have speed and control. When instantaneous speed is greater than or equal to 12, the Empire Chariot inflicts knock up, I think they mean throw, on all types of units. Okay. When instantaneous speed is less than 12 but greater than or equal to the minimum impact speed, it only inflicts knockback on infantry units and no longer applies additional control effects to cavalry units. Alright, that distinction is kind of stupid. I don't believe cavalry units should be special in the fact that how they interact with certain units. Now, I think this is dumb as well because if infantry units are only knocked back, it only causes the issues that the heroes are having, but to the units now as well. So instead of being thrown, chariots can now knock you back perpetually in a damage chain that will instantly kill you or virtually instantly kill you. So this is actually worse somehow. This is even worse. So this actually makes damage an issue because of how this works out logically. And I don't like how cavalry just basically says we don't get knocked back by this unit that's knocking back everything. I understand that Chariot is basically the best anti-cav unit in the game. I don't like this distinction though. I really don't like this distinction. It wouldn't even change the fact that cavalry units are still going to get one shot by the Chariot. I think the only thing is that cavalry units won't get completely stopped, which is the other thing. You're still like this is the dumb thing about this is like um cavalry units getting stopped wasn't really the issue again for chariots. They're getting one shot by the chariot because they're just getting wiped, which is the opposite of what I said up here, where the damage is not really the issue, but kind of bringing it back here. Um, how is damage is applied is an issue, kind of in and of itself. Um, oh God, either of these two changes I don't like. I don't like at all. Like, sure, go with this. I don't think you should increase his damage at high health. Again, like, I don't know what they're thinking. Um, this changes virtually nothing because it still applies a CC effect. Infantry units have no ability to defend against. Most units have no ability to defend against CC effects. So the attenuation of the CC effect doesn't matter if it's a daze or if it's a throw. It only matters when it comes into the unit's ability to fight back against the Empire Chariot. Are they immune to daze? Maybe. Are they immune to knockback? Unlikely. And so on and so forth. So as long as it's still dealing CC, even at a knockback level, the problems with chariots are still there. The only way I would see this as not being an issue is that if Chariot dealt no CC at all. If Chariot didn't deal any CC at all, it would be less of an issue. But because it does deal CC, it will have a greater impact on the battlefield than just its raw damage, if that kind of makes sense. But in this case, like if it's less than 12 speed, it won't even CC cavalry. So if your cavalry is pretty tanky, they'll probably be able to charge past a chariot or something. So you'll probably get to more cases like that. Now we have the accumulated damage effect. An unbalanced system has been added to Empire Chariot. The additional unbalanced value is 0 when the Empire Chariot takes damage from any types of units. Additional unbalanced value will be applied based on the unit's type and damage type. When the Empire Chariot unbalanced value reaches its maximum, it will enter unbalance overturn. The controlling hero will be thrown from the chariot, and the chariot's max speed will be reduced to 0 with a 100% slow effect for 8 seconds. After the overturn effect ends, the unbalanced value will be reset to 0. If maximum unbalanced value is not reached, the value will gradually decrease over time. Alright, I think this is an interesting system. I don't think it matters. Chariot. Okay, let me explain. The implication here is that you need to hit the chariot. There's no way to stop the chariot unless you hit it. Most units can't hit the chariot. The units that can hit the chariot, how strong is this unbalanced effect? Like, how many times do you need to hit this chariot in order to CC it? Is the question. So, if it's too low, nothing will change. If it's too high, Chariot will just get one-shotted every single time. There needs to be there needs to be some kind of okay. I don't like the notion of pinning down something that's been stopped because it's the stopping that thing that matters the most. And most of the time these things can get away scot-free. That's just kind of how things work out. I feel like they should change how this unbalanced system works by instead of having the damage taken, I think they should apply unbalance as Chariot hits or collides with units. And depending on the unit type, okay, let's pull this back a bit. I don't like specifying unit type. Let's just break down the two basics. So if the chariot hits infantry, they'll get X amount of unbalanced value. If the chariot hits cavalry, it should get a Y amount of unbalanced value. And the Y unbalanced value should be higher because again, cavalry, bigger, um, bigger unit, more mass. If it hits that, it should obviously accumulate more unbalanced value. I like the idea that it's not a slow effect that happens all at once. I like the idea that it's a gradual slow effect where at um, it will cap out, causing it to go under the collision under the collision amount, and that will allow Chariot to kind of try to keep pushing through without being stopped completely. But let's put it this way: um, we could also just have the values just exist there, where if they hit too many units at once, the overturn effect will just completely stop it, and then gradually the unbalanced values will go down, and then they can pick up speed again. So that could totally be a thing. So I mean, like you could totally work this as long as you just change this from damage taken to every time the chariot deals damage. Do it the opposite way. This way, the damage has a cost for the chariot, and this way units particularly that are tanky can sacrifice themselves to get hit by chariot, which I think is really the most important part. Anyway, continuing on, we have Doppelsoldners, Empire's Blossom, Greatsword Carnage, and Silent Disable. Imperial Mercenaries with special effects against certain scenarios and targets. Don't like the sound of that. Skilled in using a two-handed greatsword, they can deal area damage with powerful swings. Their singing, apparently, has a silent effect, disabling enemy skills within a certain range. Interesting. Alright, I am worried about this special effect, certain scenarios, and targets. Targets, I don't like it when it specifies a target based on its identity rather than based on what it's doing. What I mean by that, I like I like the idea that it targets units who fight in a particular fashion. I would like it to focus on brace targets. I wouldn't like it if it I wouldn't like it if it just targeted polearm units. That is a big distinction. The reason why I don't like it when it uses types is because weapons in those categories can be used very differently, and how they're used very differently. Offensive, defensive, passive kind of things. Just like there is little nuance if you make all buckler units counter all polearm units, or if you make a special unit that counters only polearm units. It has zero interaction or have well, it'll have zero interaction with the other types, but it's just really good against its polearm types, which I don't particularly like because it's not adaptable in a way that has nuance to me. In the end, it's still a categorization of a subgroup of units, so um, it's still the same thing. But that's how I feel when it comes to these special effects against certain targets. We knew that it was going to have some kind of area denial thing. I just hope it's not the Knight's Gambit, because again, that's literally because two-handed great sword that deal damage in a wide area only hits 3 to 2 targets, which is really stupid. Um, Sorry, when I was talking about the 3 to 2 targets, Zweihanders only hit 3 to 2 targets, which is really stupid for considering that Varangian guards can hit like 5 or 6 targets, and it feels really dumb that they're just making another unit that has area like wide that deals area damage again. We had this problem with the introduction of like the area damage clause. I mean, like unit trait with the Yanudals, the Crescent Monks. I mean, even the Wuxing Pikemen technically has it, but I think they hit like 5 targets or something. Hit limits are important to know, and I think the developers really don't understand how controlling balance through hit limits, damage, like how hit limit multiplying effect just can really go out of control. So I'm worried of just how many targets these guys can hit, how wide or like the hitbox on their attack is going to be. The other thing is as well, I'm wondering how big these Doppelsoldners unit's going to be. I don't like the fact that these guys don't look very heavily armored. Most notably, like Doppelsoldners would be the most heavily armed of the unit because they would be the first one. They are the ones that are going into the enemy lines to break them. So they would want the best stuff. Like if they have low defenses, it just doesn't make sense to me that they would have low defenses considering the historic thing. But as a gameplay balance kind of thing, if they're all about damage, um, that's going to be concerning as well because one of the things to note that the two-handed greatsword was used to disrupt an area denial rather than to actually deal damage. Because you think swinging this two-handed greatsword at someone's going to do a lot of damage? No, it didn't. It dealt no damage because everyone's using plate armor, and a greatsword would bounce right off, literally, unless you swung the hilt at them. Um, Still, no one wants to get hit with a greatsword, of course. But it's not going to cause a lot of damage in a realism sense. In a game sense, I feel like they want it to be a damage dealer, but every single unit in this game is a damage dealer. So I feel um, very very conflicted about how I imagine these units should be performing as like this kind of um, this kind of like disruption force, to say the least, rather than this killing force. I don't like how it has greatsword carnage because that just gets me worried. And of course, the silencing effect. Does this mean that it turns off unit abilities? Does it disable unit abilities to be activated? Or can like you activate your abilities and your abilities that have been activated keep going? Or do they just completely cancel it out? I imagine this silencing effect could cause a lot of issues depending on how it's uh, implemented, because we have the no charge we have this charge disable one, which the swine feathers have, which is interesting. We have the disarmed effect, which is the Onimusha and the Orochi Samurai's one, which disables all basic attack type attack skills, including attacks, including certain attacks that are not classified as charge. Um, so it's a wonder what this silence disable is going to do. If this silence disable, um, what the silence disable is going to do, uh, is it stronger than the charge disable on the Swine Feathers, or it doesn't disable basic attacks like the Onimushas do, but certain, or does it stop the activation of abilities, which means that um, that means you can't activate your skills, and if it's a silent, it just completely disables it. What classifies as a skill? Would it also include the brace skill of most like brace type units? Does that mean if you get hit, you're just knocked out of brace? Who knows? It's just a very interesting thing that I'm focusing on way too much. All right, we also have the 4-star Zealot, Lawful Evil, Milanese Armor, and the Flame Judgment. Slaughter on the battlefield increases madness. When madness reaches its maximum, the unit transforms into an Inquisitor, defeating 3-star and lower units as well as other heraldic units will grant additional madness. These Milanese armor features a smooth, rounded design that reduces damage taken by 18% and offers certain resistance to fire. The asymmetrical left shoulder plate provides excellent defense, allowing it to be used for blocking and protection in combat. After transforming into an Inquisitor, the Zealot coats their weapon with black powder, causing each attack to inflict burning damage and trigger small explosions. So this is kind of like a powering up unit. Um, we've got to see this with the Harangs, and now we're seeing this with the Zealots. The Zealots, however, do look like a heavy assault troop again. Something along the lines of Mace Sergeants, but again, we're seeing them as tier 4. I'm wondering why they have a shield in one image and then loses their shield in another. This fire effect would definitely be interesting considering like it's a visual change that is super noticeable on the battlefield. But I'm also wondering why they have a cloak on this side, but they lose it on this side. So it'll be very interesting to see. That being said, we can only infer two things from the Zealots. Is that while they're Zealots, they'll probably have. Oh, sorry. When they transform into Inquisitors, it says that each attack inflicts burning damage and a small explosion. That would imply that their Zealot stage is don't have these things, and then when they transform into the Inquisitor versions, they they will cause burning damage and small explosions. My worry is that does the burning damage do the same thing? Does cause the frightened state? Because that could cause that. Well, if it causes that, that's a little bit of CC. The trigger a small explosion. The small explosion that could cause a knockback, or it could have some type of additional effect on it. So we've got we've got some we got some notions that they're going to be more offensive. They have more offensive capabilities when they're Inquisitors. The other thing is when it talks about the asymmetrical left shoulder plate provides excellent defenses, allowing it to be used for blocking and protection in combat. This makes me feel like the kind of like Scylla does, where they can block attacks with the stomach plate, but this case they're using it with their shoulder pauldron, and it's not actually that big. To be honest, it actually looks quite normal. Um, I think I think this line here is more. I think this line here kind of doesn't. It's not demonstrated with like kind of like an absurdity kind of thing. Ugh. The one thing I am worried about is kind of like if the unit is weak in the first place and then needs to get some kills and become inquisitors to then just become monsters, um, I feel like that could be a problem where up front they're just no good, but once they're charged, they're really great. Kind of like how Harangs are, where they're below average or they're weaker than they should be, and then when they stack up, they're stronger than anything. It's kind of a weird thing that to be worried about. So it's an interesting unit to think about, and I'm definitely just as I look at it, I'm just fascinated how the visuals has gotten me so good that I want to see these guys in action, and I probably will very shortly. Well, I mean, like, just gotta wait 2 days. But I'm asking you guys, are you still hopeful for Conqueror's Blade? Are the changes for the Chariot enough? Are the changes to the runes interesting? And are you excited for the new units coming? Again, like Holy Roman Empire. What? How cool do these units look? First of all, I love the land snakes. Not so much the leather coat, but I have been made aware that these leather coats are a fashion item. Definitely got the hat, the puffy, colorful attire, and we also got that great sword. I want to see that in action. And then you got these knights looking zealots. I mean, they're not called knights, but my goodness, do these guys look good? Better than the Lancelots. But we'll have to wait to see them in game. Are you also looking forward to Longbow? I don't. I don't like CB turning into an FPS. Every single time Longbow has been strong on defense. Sorry, when you have Longbows on defense, it is absolutely bullshit to push against a Longbow because more often than not, you're losing heroes before you even engage, which is the terrifying thing. Losing a couple of units to longbow snipe, not an issue, except when like they snipe out some of your specials. Losing heroes, absolutely an issue. Do you expect to see longbows sniping out heroes again? Do you think that's a problem, or do you think that just should be part of gameplay? For me, I've never really liked ranged units being so strong, or range heroes being so strong that they can snipe out heroes at medium distances. When I say medium distances, like around about 60 meters. When we're talking about distances of like 60 meters, being able to snipe you out, that's kind of like the most egregious sessions. When we're in about 30, 20 meters and we're not having like terrain issues, that's absolutely fine. I think that should be that's absolutely fine. But I have been sniped out from over 100 meters away before, so I I didn't like it. So I'm not looking forward to that. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Other than that, my name's Asuka. Have a nice day. Bye for now.